Hello, Nova Scholars. Well, here we are, another snow day. So I thought I'd share another book with you. The book I'm going to share today is called A Giraffe Goes to Paris. And this is a book I had never seen before, but somebody that works at Nova actually gave me this book, and it's someone that many of you might know, Ms. Hillmeyer. So some of you listen to her read stories in the Great Room in the morning. Some of you might read with her during the day, but she actually knows how much I love giraffes, and so she gave me this book, and it was a book I've never seen before, but it's actually a true story, or based on a true story, that I thought was very interesting. So A Giraffe Goes to Paris by Mary Taverner Holmes and John Harris. And this book has a lot of French words in it, and I don't speak French, so I'm going to do my best to pronounce them, just like you try your hardest when you read. So Giraffe Goes to Paris. Shh! Look! The moon over Paris. And there, in the moonlight, what is that? A giraffe. My giraffe, Belle. Belle, born 1824. The French people call her the Belle Enfant des Tropiques, the beautiful child from the tropics, which she was and is. She was a present from the great Pasha of Egypt, Muhammad Ali, to the great King of France, Charles X. No one in France had ever seen a giraffe. No one. So she was the perfect present. I was chosen to take care of Belle on her long, long journey from Egypt. My name, I should tell you, is Atir. And it says, me, Atir. First, we went on a boat trip on the ancient river Nile. Belle and I and men from the Pasha's court. And what, you may ask, does a giraffe eat while floating down the river Nile? Giraffes, after all, nibble on treetops. But where would Belle find treetops in the middle of a mighty river? And what would she eat on the even longer trip to France? Cow number 1, cow number 2, cow number 3. Milk, milk, milk. We thought and thought and thought and decided, excuse me, she should drink milk. Milk was the best idea. But a young giraffe, Belle was only 2, drinks a lot of milk, which is why we brought 3 cows with us. And to keep Belle company, 2 antelopes. Antelope 1, antelope 2. Once we got Belle on board the ship, we saw right away that there was another problem. A big problem. Belle wasn't going to fit. It was too dangerous to keep her above on the deck, and she was too tall to sail in the cramped quarters below. It was then that our Italian captain came up with a brilliant idea. He cut a hole in the deck so Belle's long, graceful neck could poke out. He lined a hole with straw to protect her from the rough, splintery edges. He provided an umbrella to protect her from the sun and rain. Marseille, France. And off we went, our destination, France. When Belle walked calmly down the gangplank, the people of Marseille could not believe their eyes. Never in their lives have they seen such a creature. She was 12 feet tall, and what was she exactly? They could not decide. Was she some kind of camel? She had spots like a leopard's. She had a long tongue, almost like a snake's, and she walked so strangely, first on her 2 right legs, then her 2 left legs. So she was not a horse. What was she? Everyone had a different idea. Belle and I stayed in the private home of a rich lady, a countess, who threw lavish parties in Belle's honor. The parties were fun. I just want to point out these 2 hairstyles that look a little bit like giraffes. But remember, we had to get to Paris to the king who was awaiting Belle's arrival 500 miles away. How? We were all tired of boat trips. Belle was too, and no cart was big enough to hold her. Belle seemed to be enjoying her strolls too around the city of Marseille. Why not walk to Paris? And so that's what we did. But we would need help, someone to lead such a complicated operation. Who? We thought, and the rich lady said, Geoffroy St. Hilaire. He's the great professor at the Museum of Natural History in Paris. He's a friend of mine, and he could do it. Professor St. Hilaire took charge immediately and devised a plan. Over a period of 8 weeks, we would walk with Belle the entire way from Marseille to Paris. And it says every giraffe has different spots like fingerprints. Horns are knobs of cartilage. A giraffe tongue, which is 18 inches long. And then here is Etienne Geoffroy St. Hilaire. Belle wear. But Belle, like any other traveler setting out on a long journey, would need to have the right clothes. She had arrived in France without so much as a raincoat, and a raincoat, in fact, was precisely what she needed to protect her from the rain, the sun, and the wind. France is not Egypt, and we did not want her catching a cold in her long throat. We came up with a waterproof outfit, a blanket that buttoned around her body, embroidered on one side with the coat of arms of France and on the other with the coat of arms of the Pasha of Egypt. It was edged in heavy black braid. She wore it as a cape around her neck. This looked very good on her, and I am serious. Boots. Yes, boots. She was not used to walking such long distances. So here's a little bit of what she was wearing. And then it says, to keep a Belle wear tidy, you need a Belle iron. Our caravan. We set out. French gendarmes, which are French soldiers here, in the front. The cows, remember them. 1 or 2 Egyptians in full dress. Then the professor, walking alone. Belle in her finery, with me in the front holding an umbrella over her head. Horses, drawing a wagon loaded with supplies. The antelopes, remember the antelopes? And some sheep. Crowds lined the roads. People were hanging from trees to be closer to when she nibbled on the leaves. I'm not sure what they were expecting. A wild beast? A ferocious creature? Instead, they saw Belle, my Belle, gentle and elegant. The best dressed animal in the world, and she didn't make a sound. We stopped at inns that put out our special signs. Auberge à la Giraffe. Church bells rang as we made our way through the air that smelled of lavender and lilac and roses. The fields were thick with olive groves, poppies, and grapevines. The newspapers announced that we were coming, and people streamed out to see us. We made our way through cities with magical names. Aix-en-Provence, the town of 1,000 fountains. Avignon, the ancient city where the popes once lived. Then onward through Orange and Valence. So many towns saw Belle. And this is the song that was playing. And so that song translates to, on the bridge of Avignon, everyone is dancing. On the bridge of Avignon, everyone is dancing in a circle. So it was a really magical occasion. All these people seeing giraffes for the first time, or a giraffe, Belle. So here's Place Bellecourt. On June 6th, 1827, we arrived in Lyon. Belle walked gracefully under the city gate and into the beautiful Place Bellecourt, where 30,000 people came to see her in a single day. Oh, it was grand. And so here's a tear. You can't see him. He's behind the tall giraffe. But Paris was, as always, our destination. Paris and the king. Paris loves Belle. Paris began to prepare for Belle's arrival. Paris began to go crazy. Here's a souvenir ticket. Some ink with a giraffe head as a lid. Giraffe pen. There were giraffe songs, poems, paintings, pottery, fabrics, cough drop boxes, wallpaper, toys, inkwells, jewelry, and gingerbread cookies. There was a giraffe piano with strings going straight up the neck, and a giraffe hairdo with wire inside. The hairdo was so tall that a wealthy lady wearing it would have to sit on the floor of her carriage to fit inside. So here's a barber bowl decorated with beautiful Belle and her faithful Atir. July 9th, 1827. On July 9th, 1827, the great moment finally arrived. Belle met the king and ate rose petals out of his hand. The king's children petted her beautiful spotted legs. The Grand Duchess de Berry hung a garland of flowers around Belle's neck. And as for me, the king gave me, Atir, 1,000 francs. That's money in France. Paris, Jardin des Plantes. And so began our 18 years in Paris. In the first 6 months, more than 600,000 Parisians came to see us, paid to see us, dressed in my best, my white turban, my fancy vest, and my wide Egyptian pants. I would take Belle out on leisurely 2-hour walks through the lovely Jardin des Plantes, where the Parisians had made a home for us in the rotunda. The people would watch us, not believing our eyes. In the rotunda, I have a small sleeping balcony in Belle's specially heated room. I'm right up near her head, so I can pet her. Shh. Belle is getting sleepy, and I am too. But before we both drift off, let's take one last look together at the moon. Bonne nuit, ma chérie Belle. So it means good night, my sweet Belle. So this actually, I thought this was interesting. It says Belle's journey really happened. The authors got most of their information from Un Giraffe pour le Roi catalog, basically a lot of historical documents that they found in France as well. And it says some people refer to our Belle as Zarafa, taking her name from the Arabic. Giraffa or Zarafa, a word with many meanings, including creature of grace and tall one. Many scholars believe the word giraffe comes originally from that Arabic word. And so here was the original ticket to see her too. So I hope you enjoyed this story on another snowy day about giraffes, which are my favorite animal. And I hope you have a good rest of your day, and we will see you tomorrow. You should go out and play in the snow. Bye!